Okay, we're going to take a look at exam number 5, which is about loops. So question number 1, how many times will the following code print welcome to Java? And we see that we've got a while loop here. We declare an integer called I above the while loop or outside of the while loop, and we set it equal to 0 to begin with. So I is what we usually call an iterator, and that's an iterator is in charge of tracking how many iterations we've done or how many loops that we've done. So we say while I is less than 10, we're going to loop out welcome to Java. Then we've got this I++. That takes I and adds 1 to it. It increments it by 1. So we'll start with I equal to 0, and then it'll do I++, and then it'll be equal to 1, and so on. And so this is going to do it a total of 10 times. I will be equal to 0 through 9, and once it gets equal to 10, that'll break the loop. But that's 10 different times. Let's take a look at question number 2. What is the output of the following code? So here we're setting a variable x equal to 0, and then we're looping on x while x is less than 4. Every time that we loop through, x equals x plus 1, so it's basically x plus plus. So how many times are we going to print out x is, or what is it going to print out at the end of this? And it is going to print out x is, and it's only going to print out once because this is outside of the loop. And so what's the value of x after the loop is completed? Well, it's going to end when x is not less than 4, so at the end of this it's going to be equal, x is going to be 4. So it'll print out x is 4. 3, how many times will the following code print welcome to Java? Well, here we're setting an iterator I equal to 0, and we're doing a while I is less than 10, but we've got this one little difference, and that is I++ is less than 10. So we might think that I++ is going to equal 1 before and never equal to 0, and so it's going to do it 9 times, but what happens is that this is going to be compared first, and then after it's compared, I is going to be incremented 1. So the plus plus happens after the comparison. So this will do it 10 times. How many times will the following code print hello, welcome to Java? 10 times. Question number 4, what will be displayed when the following code is executed? Here we have I set to equal to 6, and while I is greater than 0, it's to continue the loop. And then we have I minus equals 3, so that'll take whatever the value of I is and subtract 3 from it. And then it's going to print out I plus a space. So when this is looping, it's going to start by taking the value of 6 and subtracting 3 from it, and then it's going to print out I, which is going to be 3. And it's going to print out a space. And then it'll loop again because I is greater than 0 still. It'll subtract 3 from that. Now I is equal to 0. It'll print out I, so it'll print out 0, and then a space. And then it'll loop back up. I is now 0, which is not greater than 0, so that ends the loop. And this is all it's going to print out, 3 space 0 space. Question number 5, what will be displayed when the following code is executed? So here we have a for loop, and it starts by setting I equal to 0, while I is less than 3, I++. System out print I, and then a period. So it'll start by printing out the value of I to begin with, which is 0. Then it'll put a dot. This thing will loop again. I will now be incremented 1, so it's now going to be 1 is less than 3. So it'll print out 1 dot, and then it'll loop again. This time I is going to be incremented to 2. 2 will be less than 3, so it'll put a 2 where this I is, and then another dot. It'll loop up and add another 1 to our I, which now will make it 3, so 3 is not less than 3. That'll break the loop. So here's the final answer here, 0.1.2 point. That's what number 5 will print out. Let's take a look at question number 6. Is this a loop? So here we have password equals myreader.readString, public void login. System out, print what is the password. If password equals let me in, play the game, else system out, print line, login wrong, try again, and then it calls the login method. So what's happening here is that if the password is wrong, it goes up and it calls itself. It's actually calling itself to execute. Then that's going to print out what is the password, and if it's wrong again, it's going to then call itself again, which will print out what is the password. After it prints out wrong password, try again. So is it possible for a method to call itself, which in fact creates or would create a loop? And the answer is yes, this can be done. This is called a recursive method, a method that calls itself. And of course B is wrong, because methods can call themselves. Question number 7. Repetition of a set of statements, usually using a looping control structure, such as a while loop, for loop, or do while loop, that is an iteration. So every time we do a loop, that is a iteration. Which is not a logical operator used as part of a Boolean expression, often in the conditions of a control structure, such as a while loop. So here all of these are logical operators except for the equal sign. The equal sign is an assignment operator, not a logical operator. Okay, so that's it for exam number 5.